Hi guys, it's me Val, Toxic Free. Welcome. I just wanted to chat today about something that's kind of cropped up. What is normal? That's what I want to know. What is a normal human behaviour? Because it depends on who's diagnosing you. Depends on whether the person who's diagnosing you has projections of their own past history, trauma. Is it a doctor that's diagnosing you? Is it your friends? Is it a troll? Is it a narcissist? You know, we all get told with certain things depending on, you know, who we listen to. So it kind of struck me recently on a comment that I had. I was replying to somebody's comment and they had misrepresented what I'd said in a video. So I tried to explain what I'd meant in the video. They then called me a liar. I then apologised for the video and said, look, I didn't understand what you actually meant. And by apologising, they then told me that I was being very defensive. So every time I tried to reply to this person, he would come up with a trait of some kind of disorder to describe what I was talking about. You know, and then I tried to have a conversation, being very polite and respectful, and then he called me a pathological liar, that I was actually kind of lying and I didn't know what I was talking about. Now, I never profess to know what I'm talking about anyway, do I? So, and I'm not a life coach or anybody that really delves deep into the science and into the pathology and to all the different things, psychology of everything. I just kind of like skim the surface. So I tried to explain to this person, but every time I came back with something, he'd call me something else. He'd call me, you know, a narcissist, or he'd call me a liar, or I don't know what it was. So this person on the other side of the computer decided to name me as certain things by what I was saying. And this is what I'm trying to say, is that the normal things in the world today, the normal things that we do and the normal human traits are classed by some people as certain disorders. And that's gaslighting in a way, isn't it? And we need to remember who we are. Do you know what? I don't think there's any normal in the world. I don't think anybody is actually normal. What do we decipher as normal? What, somebody that wakes up every morning with a smile on their face? You know, somebody that goes to work happy, enjoys their job, somebody with a lovely family, somebody who's never been divorced, someone who's never been traumatised. You know, I just don't think that that happens, and I don't think there's people like that in the world, because I'm sure that everybody has been through some kind of trauma in their lives. So when we're born with this blank brain, and what creates our personality and our persona and our who we are, our personality, whether we're disordered or whether we class ourselves as normal or whether other people class ourselves as disordered, we rewrite history. Our brain rewrites itself. Our brain's wired by what we've been through in the past. Our brain picks up on the trauma and it shields itself, it protects itself. We do certain actions, we do certain things depending on our history. We are the person that's created because of our history and our traumas in life. Everybody's different. So when we go onto sort of a video maybe and say, I'm codependent, you know, what level of codependency are you? This is what I see, because everybody in the world at some point is dependent on somebody else. When somebody says that, you know, I don't like to be alone, or I'm scared of abandonment, at what level are you scared of abandonment? You can't just sort of diagnose yourself with, I don't know, borderline because you're scared of abandonment. You've obviously got to have lots of traits to go with it. But I think so many people out there are being told that there's certain things because of their fears. It's an average, it's a normal thing to be feared. Have a fear of certain things. It's normal. We all fear abandonment. It doesn't mean that we have a disorder. We all get scared if someone doesn't reply back. We all want to understand why someone's ghosting us or someone's giving us the silent treatment. It doesn't mean that we're sort of, you know, obviously codependency to me is a different scale. You know, anything that, they're all reactions in life. They're all empathic traits. We all have them. And I think that's what we're looking at. We're trying to be so normal. What is normal? We all are who we are, and we're all created because of our lifestyles. So if you are slightly codependent, or if you do get scared of like being abandoned, it's a human natural, you know, reaction. And I think that's what happens with us, is that we're We've absorbed so much information in this community. We listen to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos, and we're absorbing all this information, and it just gets confused in our heads. So before long, we think we were probably quite normal before, but now because we're judging ourselves and we're thinking, oh my goodness, you know, I cry a lot and then I'm in a really good mood. Does that mean that I'm borderline? Does that mean I'm histrionic? You know, one minute I'm up, the next minute I'm down. No, it could just be the fact is that you woke up one morning in a bit of a foul mood, or something's happened. Outside circumstances, deaths, trauma, work, friends, abandonment, anything that goes on in your lifestyle, it creates a certain reaction in you. And it does not mean that that reaction is a disorder. It means that reaction is normal. It's a normal reaction. So I think we need to stop being hard on ourselves, and we stop judging ourselves every time we have a reaction, because we've watched so many videos on YouTube about, you know, abandonment, codependency, empathy, narcissism, the traits. We're boxing ourselves into a certain thing. Just because you've got a bit of codependency, because you rely on your husband a little bit much, maybe that just means that's who you are. It has to be at a certain level where it's detrimental to your health or detrimental to somebody else's health. If your codependency is so bad and the scale is so high, I think, I mean, again, I'm talking from opinion here. I'm not a psychologist or a life coach. This is just my opinion, and I'll probably get people telling me that I'm wrong. Well, that's fine. But it's opinion. And I think there's levels of everything. There's levels in empathy, there's levels in codependency, there's levels in the amount of abandonment. I mean, if you can't go out of the house because you're so codependent, and you will not go anywhere without anybody, and it's ruining your life, and it's stopping you from going to work or mixing with your friends, that's when codependency is kind of like, should really be, you know, try and fix it, or try and help yourself, or go to a therapist or somebody to talk to. But if you're just a little bit codependent, and maybe you just don't like going to a coffee shop on your own, it doesn't mean you have a disorder. We all need to realise that there's different levels of everything in this world, and just because you have something, a little bit of a disorder here and a little bit of a disorder there, that's just who you are, because of your makeup, because of who you've been in your lifetime, where you've been in your life. If you're over relying on someone for validation, if you're over relying on someone and you have no self-worth, things like that, you know, if it's to an extreme, well, yeah, I would say maybe there's a disorder there and you need to get it looked at. But we all in some way want validation. We all in some way need others. We all in some way, you know, have that codependency, have something about us that we need other people to, you know, help us, or to validate us, or to, you know, rely on other people too much. You know, we all need that in some way. We all need to feel, you know, validated. We all lose our sense of identity at some point, mainly through narcissism, but in different doses. So just don't name yourself, or don't accept somebody else's diagnosis of you because you maybe respond to a question in a certain way, or you do something once and all of a sudden someone's diagnosing you with something. There's human responses, and then there's the disorders. Our human responses, our reactions are human. It's when they get to a detrimental area where it's bad for us and it's hurting others, that's when we need to look at it. But be self-aware. What's happened to you in your life? Anxiety, that's another one. We all have anxiety. Anxiety goes back to the 8 men years, when we used to basically have to fight for our food, and aware of tigers attacking us and mammoths and dinosaurs. Now, our anxiety heals us. Our anxiety saves us. Our gut feeling and our anxiety, it's what keeps us safe. When we feel there's a warning, when we feel like there's something going to happen or we're in danger, our anxiety kicks in. That's to actually save us. Again, if you are so anxious where, again, you can't go out, that's when it's a disorder. GAD, now I've had GAD, now I'm improving a bit. You know why I'm improving? Because of my videos. I'm improving because I've come on here. I'm improving with my anxiety because I do lives occasionally to try and help me with that. So I'm working on my anxiety. But it's not such a disorder where it holds me back. It's not such a disorder where it's interfering with my friendships and my job. This is when disorders, when they are detrimental to you or somebody else. When you're hurting yourself or you're hurting somebody else, that's when it's starting to creep into a disorder, because it's holding you back from normal life. So it's difficult because, again, in this community, we get diagnosed by everybody. We get diagnosed by trolls. We get diagnosed by other survivors. We get diagnosed by doctors. We get diagnosed by the DSM. We get diagnosed by narcissists. And it's depending on who you're talking to who you are. And that's gaslighting, because a lot of people, narcissists, trolls, they'll tell you certain things. They'll tell you you're a narcissist. They'll tell you you've got a disorder. They'll tell you this. They'll tell you that. They aren't actually, what's the word I'm looking for, entitled to diagnose people. They aren't psychologists. So that's gaslighting. So we need to realise when there's people out there telling you something in a comment, or like that comment said to me, I tried to respond to the comment in a nice, polite way and say, look, I'm sorry, you know, I misunderstood what you said. Before I knew it, I was a pathological lying narcissist with traits of this and traits of that and traits, and all I was doing was actually responding in a nice, polite way. And we need to decipher between who's telling us what, and if they're projecting their own self through their own projected narcissistical troll glasses, or whether it's somebody that we can really, really take note of. We listen to the wrong people. No one can diagnose you unless you go into a psychologist, unless you have tests done and they sit there with their little pad and paper and ask you loads of questions, and then they can diagnose you. But again, what's normal? What is normal? We're all different, we're all unique, and we all are who we are because of our lives. The DSM, for instance, that's changed a lot over time, because back when it was first brought out, whichever date that was, I did look at the date, but I can't remember it now, things were different back then. We didn't have all this, social media, the digital world that we live in now. We don't have all the things back then that we do now. So the DSM has to catch up with us. So what we feel now is abnormal, probably in 10 or 15 years will be absolutely normal. In the olden days, they used to say that being gay was abnormal. It's not abnormal now, because things changed. In the past, if you had your face lifted, if you had your bum lifted, your boobs enlarged, all these things done, that is the world of today. Back then, it was classed as abnormal. There was something wrong with you. You had that facial dysmorphia, is that what it's called? See, I should do my research better, don't I? But hey, it's body modification we've got going on now, where people are sticking things in their faces to make themselves horns, make themselves look like cats, give themselves God knows what kind of like implants in their faces. It would probably be classed as abnormal a long time ago, but it's starting to be normal. So this is what I'm saying, that things that are maybe abnormal today will be normal in the future, because times change and the DSM will have to change to catch up with it. Because of the digital world that we're living in today, the disorders are changing daily because of social media, because of, obviously, people love having likes, or people taking the selfies, and narcissism is getting huge and bigger and bigger. Nowadays we've got transgender, people that feel that they're born in the wrong body. Back then they'd be put in a jail, they'd be put in a mental home. But can you see where I'm going with this? Normal is what you feel, and normal is life. Normal is what is changing in the world. Transgender, again, nowadays, everybody's doing it and it's fine. It's normal. It's normal. But these things, a long time ago, you'd end up having electricity treatment. You'd be electrocuted to try and fix your brain. Obviously, we can't do that now. There's a few people I'd like to do that to still. But please stop thinking that you're abnormal just because you're different to somebody else, or you've got a bit of codependency or anything like that. People pleasing, again, that's another one. Normal human traits are being changed into disorders. People pleasing, being a nice person. So we are nice people, we want to please people. All of a sudden it's being changed into somebody's calling it a disorder. Now, yeah, again, spectrum. If you're people pleasing to the point of where you are getting sick or getting ill over it, that's a disorder. If you're just a people pleaser, and as long as you can control it and you realise what you are and you're self-aware that you're a people pleaser, just be aware of it. That's it. That's what I'm saying. People pleasing is about being nice. Since when's nice being a disorder? This is what I'm trying to say. Some human traits are being told to people that what you're doing is a disorder, or you're feeling it's a disorder. You feel it's a disorder because you're watching all these videos about people pleasing. You're a codependent if you're a people pleaser. I want to be a people pleaser. I like pleasing people. That's always been a good trait to me. All of a sudden now you watch all these videos and people are telling you that people pleasing is a codependent thing. Yes, to the extreme. To the extreme. If you are people pleasing to the point where you're getting sick, then you need to look at yourself and think, wow, I'm such a codependent person. I need to take a step back and reevaluate myself. Again, normal and abnormal, it's a cultural thing, it's a context thing. Some things that are abnormal here could be normal in another world. Walking around naked. Here it's obviously, you know, you get arrested. In another country, in Africa, walking around naked is fine. So it depends on where you are, what context you're doing it in, how old you are. If someone takes off their clothes and runs around a shop, then obviously it's going to be seen as abnormal. But if it's a 2-year-old that takes off his clothes and runs around a shop, it's okay. So again, all right, that's a bit of a weird example. But we really need to stop thinking we're abnormal because we've got these human traits. Human traits. Being dependent on somebody within reason is a human trait. Being a people pleaser is a human trait. Being depressed one minute and being happy the next. Maybe there's something in your life that's making you feel that way. If that's what you do, look at your lifestyle and think, do you know what? I'm getting depressed every morning because of this, this and this. And by the end of the day, I'm happy. And that's a bit like me. I get depressed in the mornings because I obviously get a bit worried about what the day's going to bring. And then I actually feel better towards the end of the day because I think, well, nothing's gone wrong and I've survived it. We all have certain moments, you know. Is it to do with your periods? Is it to do with your age? Are you going through the menopause why maybe you're going up and down in your moods? Doesn't mean you're crazy. Doesn't mean you're abnormal. Doesn't mean you have a disorder because you have certain traits. Think of the reason why you're having them and at what spectrum they are. Because again, a lot of human traits are being diagnosed by ourselves and by other people in this community as disorders when really they're just normal behaviours. There's too many people out there, you know, diagnosing people. Too many people think they know about everything and they're diagnosing people. It's wrong. Because a lot of people are walking around feeling they've got a disorder when they actually haven't, because some idiot troll, like the one that was trolling me, or some person who is a narcissist is telling you and gaslighting you that you're disordered and you're a narcissist when actually you're not. So we need to be really self-aware and look at ourselves and think to what level these disorders are. And is this disorder being told to me by a doctor, a troll, or a narcissist? Who do we believe who's telling us these disorders? Again, the DSM sometimes is a little bit late. That can't catch up. So what's again is abnormal today could be normal next month, next year. 10 years time it could be normal to do all sorts of things that we think are abnormal today. I hope this video makes sense because this has been really bothering me. I've been thinking so much about it. The fact is I hear so many people saying I'm codependent, I'm codependent. Are you? Or are you just a bit dependent on your boyfriend or your husband? So I just wanted to have a little chat today about that. The fact is that depending on who's telling you you're disordered, think about who's telling you you're disordered, because it could be a narcissist trying to tell you that you're a narcissist. Is it a troll trying to trick you into saying something like the one with me, saying that, oh, you know, you're defending yourself, you're going off on the defensive. And I was like, no, I'm actually just responding to you. So, you know, we live in a world where normal things are made disordered and disordered things are made into normal. It's just a crazy world, so we really need to be aware of ourselves, aware of what we think is disordered and think, why are we doing this? Could just be an outside influence, could be a death in the family. Some people mourn a lot longer than others. Doesn't mean you have a disorder because you're depressed and you don't want to be here every single day. Could just be that something in your life is upsetting you and you need to maybe talk to somebody about it. But just be careful, guys, who you listen to. Don't pick up every single thing that you are. If you watch a video about borderline personality disorder, you know, and you might be drinking a little bit too much now. You're not borderline. You may be just drinking a bit much because you've got some issues. I don't know if this is making any sense. But anyway, guys, I'm going to get off. I might do another video later. I've got a few things that I want to talk about. So I hope that made sense. And thank you to all my subs supporting me. And thank you to everybody. If anyone wants to talk to me, I've got an email address in my About section. So you can email me if you want to. And, you know, but please stay safe. Bye.